I posted a question on Facebook a little while ago, and what I asked was, if your bills were paid 3 months in advance and all your debt was cleared, how would you feel? And a lot of people were saying grateful or blessed or relieved or relaxed. A lot of us place conditions on our happiness. There's strings attached to our overall well-being or our joy or being grateful, for that matter. A lot of us are so caught up in trying to change our circumstances, thinking that if we have enough money, if we get that right job, if we meet the right person, if we get the house, or you fill in the blanks, that we will be happy. It's like we need to arrive somewhere in order for us to be content. So we're placing conditions on our happiness. There's a line in the book, As a Man Thinketh, by James Allen, who says, many of us are so eager to change our circumstances, but are unwilling to change ourselves, not realizing that our circumstances are a direct result of what's happening on the inside of us. It's our belief systems. It's our thought process, right? It's the way we feel that creates our circumstances. A lot of us are suffering from spiritual bankruptcy. It's a spiritual condition that creates this feeling of lack, this state of impoverishment. It's a state of being. It's a state of mind. It's a state of feeling that's actually creating this reality of lack, that there's something missing. We're attaching our sense of value to things outside of ourselves. We don't even realize that it's what's happening in here that's actually creating what we see out there. That's how powerful we are. But we don't even realize how powerful we are because we're not paying attention to what's going on the inside of us. Constantly chasing something, constantly looking for something out there to make us feel good in here. And it's until we realize and we shift our focus from out there to in here, we will constantly be in a state of lack. We will constantly be seeking something that cannot fill what could only be filled from a realization of what we really are. Once we realize our self-worth, once we realize our value, once we realize who and what we really are, we will continue to suffer. Because when we're in a state of want, this constant state of desire, we're never going to be satisfied. It's an insatiable appetite that we have when we're seeking outside of ourselves. So how do we raise our sense of value? How do we raise our self-esteem, which means self-worth? How do we raise that? You know, there's a key word that people were saying on the comments, and that was, I would feel grateful. I would be grateful. Gratitude, right? When you purchase a home and you do work on it, right? You work on it and you make some improvements to it. Maybe you add a deck to it, right? The house appreciates. It goes up in value, right? There's a state of gratitude. There's a story in the Bible. Jesus is with like a multitude of people and they were following him or something. It's like 5,000 of them, and he felt bad. He turned to one of his disciples and he said, how much food do we have? And his disciples was like, man, we only have 2 fish. We only have X amount of loaves of bread. We don't even have enough to feed ourselves, right? He had that lack mentality, that impoverished mind, right? He was looking at what he didn't have. So in the story, Jesus, or Yeshua, right, says, let me get that. And he gives thanks for it. A lot of people get stuck on the physical miracle that, oh, he fed 5,000 people. There were baskets left over with 2 fish and the 5 loaves of bread. But the real essence of that story has everything to do with the spiritual component. There was a spiritual law there. And that law was the law of gratitude or appreciation. And when you appreciate something, you raise its value. And when you appreciate and you practice being in a state of gratitude, then we begin to draw more of what we're grateful for into our lives. And the same thing applies to when we feel a sense of lack. When we feel like a sense of lack and we feel like something is missing, then that's what we're going to keep drawing into our lives. A sense of lack and something's missing. And there's this vicious cycle that continues in our lives until we make a shift in perception, until we begin to practice gratitude. It takes work because we've been conditioned to look at what we don't have. We've been conditioned to look at the negative. We've been conditioned to feel bad. Look at the news. We watch news. We watch gossip TV. We're watching drama all fucking day. All of that shit does is deplete us. It's withdrawing from our spiritual account. So we feel like our account is overdrawn. We feel depleted. It's in the negative. So how do we fill up our spiritual account? Service to others. Giving. Give a smile. Share a kind word. Lend an ear. Help somebody. Lend a hand. It doesn't always have to be about money. I don't have to give you money all the time to feel like I'm valuable, right? Or feel like I have a sense of worth. Like, there's so much that we can give and offer people, others. We have so much to offer, and we begin to shift our perception instead of focusing on what we want. If we begin to look for how we can give, how can we contribute, what can I offer in this moment, right? When we begin to do that and shift our perception, and we begin to come from a place of service as opposed to a place of getting, right? Our lives begin to change. And it's not so much of what we get or what we attract in our lives. It's a state of being. Once we are grateful for where we at now, this is the secret. This is the open secret, right? Once we begin to appreciate who and what we are right now in this moment, count your blessings is what they say, right? Write a gratitude list. Are you healthy? Do you have quality friends, right? Do you have shelter? Do you have a warm place to sleep tonight? Maybe some of you are homeless, maybe some of you, but there's still stuff that we can be grateful for. And it's usually when we are down to nothing that we begin to appreciate the little things that we've taken for granted. And it's because of that sense of appreciation our lives begin to get better. You ever notice that? It's usually when we're at our lowest point in life that we find some hope. There's some light. We begin to appreciate things that we took for granted before. And our lives begin to elevate. And it's like somewhere along that elevation, right? We start losing our sense of gratitude. And the moment we lose our sense of gratitude, we begin to decline and spiral back down into that dark pit. So what if the secret to joy, happiness, fulfillment, right? Prosperity. What if the secret was as simple as being grateful for where you're at, for who and what you are now? So my question is, what are you grateful for?